My wife and I started dating about 5 years ago and got married 2.5 years ago. And we've had 2 kids since getting married. We've known each other for over 10 years, however, and I always thought she was a trustworthy friend. She expressed her feelings for me a year before we started dating. But we had both just gotten out of other relationships and needed time to heal. She then studied abroad for half a year. When she got back, we hit it off and started dating within a month. When W and I became exclusive, my best friend ghosted us. I couldn't figure out why, seeing as how the 3 of us were all good friends and had hung out several times since W had gotten back. I had even talked to F about W and I possibly dating multiple times, which never seemed to bother him. He even encouraged it. F had a girlfriend of his own at the time anyways. About a month into dating, W tells me a story of something that happened between her and F 4 months prior. F went to visit one of his friends who was studying in a neighboring country to W. He also decided to stop and see W for a couple days to see the country she was in. In W's words, they went to a bar one night and she had way too much to drink. She woke up in her bed that night to F taking advantage of her. She pushed him off, but he kept on trying over and over. I hear this and instantly I am livid with F. He had already been avoiding me for the past month, so I just stopped any attempt at talking to him. I figured F stopped talking to us. Didn't try to explain himself because he was ashamed of what he did. W said she was confused about the situation and didn't really get angry about it until she had returned from abroad and seen F in person. I had no reason not to trust W at this time, and she seemed very sincere and upset talking about the whole thing. That was 5 years ago. Throughout the years when F comes up in conversation, W always talks about how gross what he did was. Recently, however, W and I have been going through a rough patch in our relationship. We started to fight a lot, which exclusively is always started by W. She would complain about things I did or didn't do around the house, which would lead to name-calling, threats of divorce, and even accusations of lying and even cheating on her, which is not true. Our sex life went from okay, I'm the HL in the relationship, to a dead bedroom. She blamed it on hormones, pregnancy, postpartum, but it really was getting extreme. These things made me suspicious of her. I thought maybe she's feeling guilty about something, so I snooped. I know it's a kind of shitty thing to do, but things have gotten bad and I wanted to know if she was hiding something. I went on her laptop when she wasn't home, and I found all her iPhone backups. Long story short, nothing incriminating came up since we've been together. Just texts between girlfriends about kids and whatnot. That's a relief. But then I found the texts from before we were dating. I know she had some experiences when studying abroad. She's told me everything, or so I thought, so I took a peek. And there they were. The texts between W and F talking about hooking up when they were abroad. W saying how great the sex was, how F should visit again so they could do it again, and how she felt bad because at the time he had a girlfriend. Plenty of graphic details that all seem 100% consensual. This honestly crushed me, and not because they hooked up, but because she's been lying to me for 5 years about this. She convinced me that my best friend raped her. I've even told my family about how much of a scumbag he is, and I erased him from my life entirely. There were plenty of other lies about her past that I found throughout her phone that just twist the knife even further. I feel like the last 5 years of my life has been shaped by this series of lies. Had she told the truth from the start, I probably could have looked past it. But here I am, just learning about these things now in an entirely more complicated situation. I don't even know how to start a conversation about this with her. What's the best course of action here? Top 5 comments. Have you thought about trying to reach out to F to find out his side of the situation? If it's true that nothing bad happened between W and F, it seems strange to me that F would never try to talk to you about it if you really were best friends before you and W got together. I would remain open to the possibility that W may not have been lying about everything. It can be common, from what I understand, for someone who is raped by someone they trust, are interested in, to not come to terms with the situation right away. Sometimes, women who are raped will continue to get together with the person who raped them to try to reclaim control, power over what happened. It is a mechanism for making sense of the violation. But unfortunately, this is too often seen as a way to blame the rape victim. Ultimately, whatever the truth is in this situation, it seems clear that you will need to talk to her about it. I would also say, if you do consider talking to F, talking to W should still come first. 2. Just want to point out that it's entirely possible that they hooked up in the past, and that he assaulted her at some point. 3. Hold up. Just because they did have consensual sex at some point does not mean he didn't rape her. Having consensual sex with a man does not give him endless license to have sex with you. I was friends with and occasionally slept with a guy for 2 years. Then one evening I tell him no because he was acting weird and it was scaring me. So he pinned me down and told me I wanted, and that I always enjoyed it before, and I just cried and stopped struggling because he was hurting my wrists. For 2 years I thought this guy was my friend and we had fun together. He had never showed me any reason to believe he was capable of this. I went from loving this man to being shocked at his brutality and willingness to hurt me. What still sickens me is when I told his twin brother and explained why I wanted no contact. His brother immediately accepted what I told him and said he understood and he'd keep him away from me and apologized. His brother knows he does this. I am not the first one. Don't be so quick to dismiss the sexual assault. Just because she had consensual sex doesn't mean the encounter was consensual. Tread carefully. Also, be careful about transferring your confusion at what is going on with your relationship to something unrelated like her encounter with your friend. They are not likely related in any way. Talk to your wife. Ask her what is going on for her and tell her you notice she's unhappy and not interested in sex and you want to support her. It's okay to tell her you're feeling insecure about your relationship and that you need some reassurance that she still wants to be with you, and what can you do to work together to have a better relationship for both of you. If you go in accusing or bringing up random past stuff that will only trigger her, you are essentially looking for a fight and will be rewarded handsomely with a blowout fight, and maybe she'll even leave you or kick you out for good measure. So keep it calm, keep it loving and supportive, and don't be an asshole. 4. You could have a consensual sexual relationship with someone and they can still rape you. Sure, she was dishonest by leaving out that they'd had a sexual relationship, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he did not take advantage of her. Many, if not most, abusers are people that know the victim well. Everyone is jumping to conclusions very quickly. 5. Seems like your friend is still a scumbag. He had sex with your girl. But it seems like there are other problems in your relationship that you need to address before this. Finding a 5-year-old reason why you aren't having sex is like blaming a house fire on cigarette I smiled 5 years ago.